Hello everyone and welcome back to the full series. This will be a movie-length video of my completed series of what if Bardock and King Vegeta were brothers. How would this huge change affect the story from Dragon Ball all the way into the manga? There is a title card on top where there is a playlist to all my other full series if y'all are interested in watching. Now grab a snack while watching this or have it play in the background while you are working. And let's dive into the completed story of what if Bardock and King Vegeta were brothers. So we will begin on planet Vegeta with quite a few changes, with the obvious fact that here Bardock and King Vegeta are brothers. That makes their family related. The bond between Bardock and King Vegeta is still a bit sour, with King Vegeta having a big ego, especially with the fact that he is the king of their home planet. More importantly, with Vegeta, Raditz and Goku all being cousins. Here it would make more sense with Raditz and Vegeta being on the same squad, and here Raditz wouldn't be considered a weakling, or wouldn't be talked down upon, at least not as much as he was in canon. Raditz would be stronger than Nappa, but still weaker than Vegeta by at least 1000. Their bond would be better and more friendlier, with just the fact that Vegeta, just like his father, would rub it in Raditz's face that he will be the next king. Moving on to Goku, when he was born, instead of having a power level of 5, he will have a power level of 5000, which Bardock would be proud of. Continuing the story of Dragon Ball, Frieza would still plan to destroy planet Vegeta, calling back all the Saiyans to their planet, and going with the version of Bardock from Dragon Ball Z Bardock, the father of Goku, Bardock's crew would still be wasted by Frieza's henchmen, and after barely surviving with his own life, he would still have the visions of planet Vegeta being destroyed, his brother's death, and seeing Kakarot all grown up facing Frieza. He quickly would return to planet Vegeta and warn everyone of the impending doom of their planet. And this time around, people would actually believe Bardock, since this time he is a high-class Saiyan and a part of the royal family. Gathering up an army, he would then proceed to meet with his brother King Vegeta, warning him of his potential future death that he saw. King Vegeta was a bit skeptical, but since it was coming from his brother, and the fact that Frieza did make a weird call gathering all the Saiyans to their planet made him believe and join Bardock in stopping Frieza. Before they started the revolution, Bardock would send Kakarot away just like he did in canon, just in case he couldn't stop Frieza, while King Vegeta would warn his son and nephew about this upcoming battle and to warn them about Frieza in case they don't come out on top. After gathering every Saiyan warrior they could, they would all head to the atmosphere ready to face off Frieza. With the huge amount of Saiyan fighters they created a power ball to allow them to transform into the Great Ape form, while Bardock, King Vegeta, and some other Saiyans rushed at Frieza, fighting any soldiers that get in their way. King Vegeta would manage to get close to Frieza, but Frieza would shoot a death beam, hitting King Vegeta in the shoulder. Bardock only saw his brother getting hit and thought he was just killed. He grew angry, blaming himself that his crew died, and that his brother died even when he had the foresight to prevent his brother's death. Yet, he still failed. His anger began to take over as his aura flares up. His hair begins to grow and change in appearance. A loud roar is heard from everyone as they see a huge bright yellow aura emerge in the battlefield, as the Saiyans look over in shock at what they are seeing. Bardock has become the legendary Super Saiyan. Without wasting more time, Bardock immediately charges a key attack, shooting it right at Frieza. Currently with a power level of 10,000, the Super Saiyan multiplier would give Bardock a power level of 500,000, being almost as strong as Frieza in his first form. But since Frieza most likely would have not expected to go all out in this first form, he would be caught off guard as he would quickly try to shoot a key attack of his own to hold against Bardock's attack, as then King Vegeta would appear next to Bardock, aiding him in his key struggle, as this allows them to overpower Frieza and killing him. Seeing their leader dead, the rest of Frieza's army begins to get taken down one by one until the Saiyans finished every single one of them. After their victory, they would all return to their planet, as everyone would be cheering Bardock as he is the legendary Super Saiyan, even many of them wanting Bardock to become the next king of the Saiyans, which King Vegeta didn't like. Bardock isn't the leader type, but he understands why people would want him to be the new king, since he is the Super Saiyan. He didn't want to take the role from his brother, but he knew he needed to. He would take the mantle of king as his brother really couldn't do anything against it, as he isn't strong enough to fight against his brother. But seeing that Bardock did achieve the Super Saiyan transformation, he believed that maybe he could as well, and reclaim his throne. Now with Bardock as the king of the Saiyans, he would lead their race to be better, not wanting to conquer planets anymore, as they did not have to live under the rule of Frieza any longer. However, the looming threat of cold was still wavering, so King Bardock and Vegeta Sr. began training for this threat, and Bardock would be wanting to focus more on his newly acquired power and would try to help Vegeta achieve it as well. They would also notify their sons about the victory, letting them know it is safe to return home. Bardock would then prepare to venture out to get Kakarot back, but then he would get more visions, seeing the journey that Kakarot goes through, seeing him training and getting stronger, and also making new friends, and even seeing the family he will have in the future. Seeing the life he will live, he decides it's best to leave Kakarot on Earth for now, and let him live his safer life. But one day, once he is older, or when they take down King Cold, he will visit his son. He will tell Guinea about what he saw for their son, and even though she misses him a lot, she doesn't want to take away what their kid would gain and accomplish. So she would allow for Kakarot to stay on Earth. For the next few years, Bardock, Vegeta Sr., Vegeta, and Raditz will be training intensely, as the other three did want to achieve this new power. Vegeta was pretty motivated, as all the gloating he did previously is biting him in the butt, as Raditz is now rubbing it in Vegeta's face that he will be the next king and that his father is the legendary Super Saiyan. But Bardock would teach Raditz to not behave like that. They would be training for around a year until King Cold would arrive on planet Vegeta after not hearing from his son for a good while. But before we get into that confrontation, let's discuss some power levels. Bardock would be at a power level of 100,000 with consistent training with 3 other strong Saiyans for an entire year, also meaning a power level of 5 million in Super Saiyan. Vegeta Sr. would be second with a power level of 80,000. Vegeta and Raditz would actually be neck and neck, both sitting at a power level of 45,000. Now Bardock expected Cold to visit their planet, and their plan consisted of getting the surprise attack on him. Cold would be holding back, not expecting the Saiyans to be strong. Cold would obviously try to attack Vegeta Sr. thinking he is still king, as Bardock would jump in front of his brother, catching Cold's arm and shooting a ki blast right through his chest, and without wasting more time, he would use a very powerful blast, erasing Cold. Now with Cold gone, the Saiyans could actually live their lives in peace without any of the frost demons looming in the universe. Moving on to Goku, he would land on Earth and still be taken in by Grandpa Gohan, still being rowdy and hitting his head. When Grandpa Gohan would begin training Goku, he would see his immense potential with the fact that his power level was already much stronger than him, but he would struggle with having Goku control his power, so Gohan would reach out to his old master, Roshi, for help in training Goku. Together they would train Goku, but instead of focusing on making him stronger, they would focus on having him control his already huge power level. With the student being as strong as he is, both Gohan and Roshi saw huge growth in their power level as well, both reaching a power level of 2000. They would eventually experience the Great Ape transformation that Goku has when he looks at the moon. His power level skyrocketed all the way to 50,000, but with the more open space of Roshi's home and 2 highly skilled martial artists, I believe they would find out the cause of Goku's transformation and be able to destroy the moon, and both living to see the next day. They would warn Goku about the form and what it does to him, so this time Goku knows about his Great Ape form a lot sooner and knows how to activate it. After a few years of training, Goku and Gohan would be able to return to their home, around the same time as Bulma would meet Goku as normal. Gohan would urge Goku to go on the adventure with Bulma, as it would be good for him to experience more about the world. So Goku would take off with Bulma and begin the story of Dragon Ball, but with this time around being much stronger. Any threats or foes that Goku and Bulma face, he would beat them without any real effort, as he is stronger, faster, smarter, and more skillful than in canon. The Pilaf gang wouldn't be an issue for Goku, same with Oolong, and when it comes to Yamcha, he wouldn't stand a chance at all. But once he hears who trained Goku, I believe he would still follow them like normal. Even when they arrive at Fire Mountain, Goku wouldn't need to get Master Roshi, as no doubt right now he could already fire his own powerful Kamehameha wave, putting out the flames and giving them another Dragon Ball. Monster Care wouldn't be an issue as well, and I don't think they would be captured by the Pilaf gang, and would get their own wish, which Bulma would probably ask for an infinite supply of strawberries, still falling in love with Yamcha. Now for the next few months, Goku wouldn't train under Roshi, as he already spent years with Roshi and learned all he could from him. But someone else had their eyes on Goku, as Kami would call Goku, telling him that he can train him further. Goku would end up meeting Mr. Popo, as he would take him to the lookout, and Goku would meet with Kami early on. Kami can sense how powerful Goku is and how much potential he has, so that is why he decided to get into contact with him a lot earlier than in canon. For the next 8 months that he would have trained under Roshi, he instead trained under Kami. With his change of potential being a high class Saiyan, he managed to do the 3 years of training he did under Kami in the original timeline in just the 8 months before the tournament. However, he would not participate in the tournament this time around, as he would train until a year would pass, as he would go on the hunt for the Dragon Balls, wanting to get back the 4-star ball. Even though Gohan is still alive, it still holds value to them. With the tournament, it would go around the same, with Jackie Chun winning the tournament, and Krillin would remain cocky and a bit less confident without Goku around. The entire Red Ribbon Army arc wouldn't be a problem for Goku, as he would easily go through the army without struggle, still befriending Ader, and honestly no one surviving, meaning Jiro is out of the picture before he could forge his plan to eliminate Goku in the future. Commander Red would still hire mercenary Tao to assassinate Goku, but that would not be happening this time around. Goku, being much stronger, would be able to take down Tao with ease, and also save Bor from his death. Moving on to Fortune Teller Baba, her tournament would be much shorter, as Goku would be able to deal with all 4 fighters with ease. This time around, it is 4 fighters, since Gohan is still alive. Now gathering all the Dragon Balls again, they wouldn't really have a wish, as Bora never died and Goku didn't really want a wish. But just the 4-star Dragon Ball. So he would deliver the other 6 Dragon Balls to Bulma so that whenever they did need to make a wish, they will already have the Dragon Balls collected. Goku would head back to the lookout to continue training, even though at this point he really learned all he could, and his growth began to stay at a standstill, until he remembered his grade 8 form, which gave him a massive increase in power. Instead of going to the tournament, he would remain training, mainly trying to control his grade 8 form. The first attempt when he transformed, Kami was very worried, but with all the training Goku did before with Gohan and Roshi when he was younger, and with the fact that Goku is a high class Saiyan, he was actually able to keep under control in his grade 8 form for the first time around, which he was excited about. He would spend his time going in and out of the grade 8 form to try to perfect the transformation, but one thing he didn't like was the fact of how big and slow he got in the form, and wanted to figure out a way to have the strength of the Ozaru in his base, but currently had no real clue how to do so. With the others during the tournament, with Goku being replaced by a normal fighter, the outcomes of the matches would be different, with Yamcha actually besting Tien because of how much stronger he is. Remember, Roshi grew much stronger when he trained a strong Goku, and so that also means when Krillin and Yamcha trained under Roshi, they saw better gains as well. Tien was no doubt more skillful than Yamcha, but Yamcha has superior strength, allowing him to win the match. Yamcha would also lose to Roshi and give the finals to Roshi and Krillin, and this matchup would be similar to how Goku fought Jackie Chun the first time in the canon story. Krillin has trained with Master Roshi for quite some time, and being his only student, he had his teacher's main focus. Krillin and Jackie Chun were almost close in power. On Krillin's side, he had his youth, giving him more stamina to fight, but Jackie Chun had the superior skillfulness and techniques under his belt. The fight was close, but ultimately Jackie Chun would win the tournament once again. Tien would see the error in his ways, and he and Chaozu would go train under Roshi. They would all go celebrate, and this time around, Krillin would avoid death by not having to return to the tournament arena for Goku's staff. But even if he did have to face off against one of King Piccolo's children, they wouldn't stand a chance. King Piccolo would still order his children to kill any martial artist on the planet, but when they come across Roshi and the others, they wouldn't stand a chance, with fighters like Roshi, Krillin, and Yamcha. Knowing what was going on, Roshi told the others about the story of Demon King Piccolo, and how he had returned. Kami sensed what was going down on Earth, and notified Goku of the threat, but Kami was actually not worried, as he knew Goku was more than enough to stop him, and even without Goku, the stronger fighters on Earth could deal with King Piccolo easily. Kami would order Goku to return to his friends and help in capturing King Piccolo, rather than killing him. Goku would fly over to the others, regrouping with them and meeting Krillin, Tien, and Chaozu for the first time, and explaining where he has been the past few years. Together they would take out the children of King Piccolo and eventually would come face to face with King Piccolo. And without King Piccolo having wished his youth back, he wouldn't be able to fight back. Even if he did make the wish, he still wouldn't stand a chance. So he would be captured rather easily and contained, as they saved Earth a lot easier. Now for the next 3 years, everyone would actually begin training on Kami's lookout. More mainly training with Goku since of how much stronger he is than everyone else. Seeing everyone else train hard, this gave Kami the motivation to train as well, and even using the Dragon Balls to restore his youth, so that he could be of more use as his role as the guardian of the Earth. So let's go over power levels after 3 years of training with all the Z fighters. Goku is at the top with a power level of 7,500, Roshi is at a power level of 5,000, Yamcha and Krillin at 4,500, Tien at 3,000, Kami at 2,500, and Chaozu at 2,000. Time came for the 23rd World Tournament, and this time around Goku would participate in it for the first time, and without the looming threat of Piccolo Jr. This tournament goes uninterrupted and is more for fun rather than stopping a threat. Kami wouldn't be in the tournament, so we would replace him with Roshi, and Piccolo Jr. with a random fighter. Tien would destroy Tao with ease, not even getting his chest scar. And the match between Goku and Chi-Chi would play out the same, with Goku proposing to Chi-Chi as normal. Yamcha would face Roshi, which in the end Roshi would still come out on top. Then Goku vs Tien would happen for the first time, just a bit less intense, with a huge gap in power between the two fighters. Krillin would then face Roshi again, and like Yamcha wouldn't be able to best his teacher. And for the finals would be Goku and Master Roshi, the long-awaited battle between student and master. Roshi thanked Goku for showing him how much more he could have grown as their fight would begin. Goku was holding back heavily, wanting to enjoy the match. Roshi would try to use his various techniques, but Goku, having been trained under Roshi and Kami, he has grown to be a smart fighter, being able to avoid anything Roshi throws at him. The fight is a nice match between the strongest fighters, but this would be the tournament where Roshi would lose his title of strongest under the heavens, as Goku would win his first world tournament. Now after that, we get into the 5-year time skip where Goku calmed down on the training a little with starting his family. Given that he is a high class Saiyan, that would give Gohan even more potential than what he had in canon, with the combination of his already insane potential of being a hybrid Saiyan, but also with the fact of being a son of a high-class Saiyan. With a power level of 7,500 at birth, making him as strong as Goku just as a baby. Goku would be very interested in training his powerful son, but Chi-Chi would heavily influence Gohan to pursue education, as he still does so normally, but with a special inclusion to the family. Grandpa Gohan is still alive. He would spend some time training Gohan, not physically but more to control his power like how he did with Goku when he was young. Not much would change during the 5 years for Goku, at least, not training as much, but with the other Z fighters, knowing how strong Goku is, they would continue training, mainly Yamcha, Krillin, Tien, and Chaozu. They all trained together on Kami's lookout. It was a slow increase, but by the time the 5 years passed, here are their power levels. Yamcha and Krillin were at a power level of 6,000, Tien not far behind with a power level of 5,500, Kami at a power level of 5,000, and Chaozu at a power level of 4,000. The start of Dragon Ball Z would play out a bit differently, with Grandpa Gohan joining Goku and Gohan as they all go to Kame's house, meeting up with Bulma, Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, Chaozu, and Master Roshi. This is also when Raditz would have shown up on Earth as normal, but it wouldn't just be Raditz, as it would be Raditz, Bardock, and Guinea this time around. But something was wrong, as Bardock and Raditz were heavily injured, barely alive, as Guinea tried her best to keep them from dying. After settling them down in a secure area, Guinea would put on a scouter as she would use the scouter to scan the power levels on the planet, which she was shocked to learn that the power levels she scanned are far higher than what was said about the planet, as she scanned 2 power levels hitting 7,500, as she thought it was her son, Kakarot. She told the other 2 that she will bring back Kakarot and maybe he can help them heal them back to full recovery. Now, let's take a few steps back and discuss what the Saiyans were up to the last few years while Goku was on Earth. They obviously continued on training intensely as Vegeta Sr., Vegeta, and Raditz all wanted to learn the Super Saiyan transformation. For the first few years, they weren't getting any luck tapping into the power, with Raditz and Vegeta being a bit young. However, Vegeta Sr. was getting close, but Bardock did manage to perfect the form after having it for around a decade. Remember, Saiyans aren't too used to training. Even if Bardock is a high-class Saiyan, they never really trained before, so he would have most likely perfected the form by having it for such a long time. Nothing too eventful happened on Planet Vegeta during the first decade, as the main 4 really focused on training. Bardock did change the Saiyan ways as they no longer conquered planets. They did focus on liberating the planets that Frieza had taken over to bring back peace in the universe, and to wipe out all traces of Frieza's army that were left over. In the start of the second decade, however, Bardock was told by some Saiyans exploring the universe that they came across a faraway planet that had 2 stranded Saiyans. Vegeta Sr. overheard this and warned Bardock, as he knew who this was, explaining how he kicked out 2 Saiyans from their planet, Paragus and Broly, for the reason that his son Broly had uncontrollable power. Bardock grew upset at his brother for making such a harsh decision to a father and his son, as he allowed them to come back to Planet Vegeta. Once arriving back on planet, Bardock would try to apologize to Paragus for his brother's actions, but that did not satisfy Paragus, and here, since Bardock is now related to Vegeta Sr., Paragus' hatred doesn't just remain to the former king and his son, but also to Bardock and his family. For the time being, Paragus played along as he had a plan to get his revenge on the royal family. So for years, the 4 Saiyans would continue training, as Paragus would spy on them and see how much they have grown. And is shocked to see that Bardock is the legendary Super Saiyan, but he doesn't let that stop him from his plan. During the decade on Vampa, he did see how much potential Broly had that even the former king was scared of, and he believed that Broly alone could kill the royal family. He spent some time working on a device to control Broly, if he ever lost control, but he only planned to use it after Broly killed the entire royal family. More years would pass on, as it would be around 2 years before the start of Dragon Ball Z, as Paragus would begin his plan to wipe out the royal family and destroy Planet Vegeta, using the collar device to hurt Broly and make him lose control, as Broly would begin to cause destruction all over Planet Vegeta. This would catch the attention of Bardock, Vegeta Sr., Vegeta, and Raditz, as they would all head out to see what was going on. And to discuss power levels, here's where they all stand. Bardock at 10 million in base, meaning 500 million in Super Saiyan, Vegeta Sr. at 8 million, and Vegeta and Raditz both at 5 million. They all arrive to see that it is Broly that is causing all the destruction on the planet. In the short time, Broly has already caused mass destruction on cities and have killed many Saiyans. Bardock was stunned in seeing what was happening, as he heard his brother yelling at him, telling him how he shouldn't have brought them back. Broly, spotting them, he rushes over to them as Raditz and Vegeta attacked Broly together. Training together for years, they formed a pretty good team, having combo moves and experience fighting together. It did not last long, however, as Broly was growing in power and pretty fast, as it didn't take long to surpass the two in power, as then Vegeta Sr. and Bardock joined in. Bardock didn't want to go Super Saiyan right away as he wanted to try to talk down Broly, but he would quickly see that it wouldn't work, and transform into his Super Saiyan form as he vastly surpassed Broly in power. Still not trying to kill Broly, as he just reminded him of his own sons, as they are around the same age. In the middle of the fight, he gets another vision. He sees Earth, the planet Kakarot Curly is living in. But the next second, he sees it explode, as he then gets back into reality as Broly would grab Bardock's face, slamming him into the ground, and begin to beat down on him. The others would try to jump in, but it would prove useless as they weren't doing anything to him. Vegeta Sr. begins to grow angry at the fact that he was right and how there's a Saiyan stronger than him that isn't royalty. His ego began to take huge hits as he begins to break down on the ground yelling in anger. This anger helped him in finally achieving the Super Saiyan power he has been training for. Now together with both Bardock and Vegeta Sr., together they fight Broly. For now, they are barely holding him off. Knowing they don't stand a chance at winning, they demanded their sons to flee, but they refused to as they continued on fighting with their fathers. But they wouldn't last too long in the battlefield as they soon would end up being knocked out and pretty beaten up. The fight was getting intense as Broly was exploding in excess power as a key attack hit the core of the planet, and soon the planet would explode. This caused chaos on the planet as the Saiyans began to flee and getting on space pods leaving the planet. Gine would see what is going on as she would see her son beaten, as she would grab him and put him into a space pod, sending it into a nearby planet, but she waited on the planet, not wanting to leave without Bardock. Back to the fight, the brothers charged and attacked with all their power. They got left, shooting it right at Broly, sending him crashing down deep into the ground of the planet. They would power down, passing out due to exhaustion and injury, as Gine would arrive grabbing a hold of Bardock as she tries to rush over to the pods she had saved for them. It took a bit since Bardock was pretty heavy as she would send Bardock to the same planet as Raditz, but she would look back thinking about Vegeta Sr. and his son, but she didn't have any more time to grab them as she apologizes, getting into her space pod and following her husband and son alone, believing she left the other half of her family to die. Luckily for Vegeta Sr. and his son, they were saved by Nappa, as he did the same that Gine did, sending all three of them to another planet. The last thing that both Gine and Nappa saw of their planet was a huge green explosion as planet Vegeta was destroyed, not by Frieza, but by a fellow Saiyan. Gine would arrive on the planet trying to take care of what is left of her family, but it was not looking good, as they were really beaten and non-conscious. She tried her best with what she had trying to fix them up, but she had no clue where to go. But then, that is when she remembers about Kakarot, thinking Earth would be a safe planet to head to and to reunite with her youngest son. After fixing up Raditz and Bardock to the best of her ability, they would head over to planet Earth. It would take some time as the distance was far and Gine would take some stops to check up on her son and husband. Back to present day, she would arrive at Kame House. Gine would see her son, instantly recognizing him as he looked just like Bardock. She would run over hugging Goku, crying out with how much she missed her son. Everyone was quite confused. Gine would explain everything to Goku with how he was sent here to be saved, and how he is an alien from another planet, and how she was his mother. Grandpa Gohan believed her right away, seeing how they both had tails. Here, Goku does still have his tail as he was able to control the Great Ape form. Gine would see young Gohan, realizing that her son has his own family and has his own son. Gine would try to introduce herself to her grandson, but Gohan was a little scared to move. She quickly hopped back on her mission as she asked Goku for help, as she explained what had happened to them and their home planet and how his father and brother needed help urgently, needing medical attention. Goku decided to go, leaving Gohan with his grandpa. The other Z fighters asked if he wanted backup, but Goku said it was fine as he believed he could handle it. But he doesn't really know how strong his father and brother are since they are nowhere near full recovery. Goku and Gine would head over to where Raditz and Bardock were left, as when Goku saw his father, his memory clicked, seeing both his father and his mother when they sent him away. He told Gine he can help them as he would quickly fly over to Korin's tower asking for 2 sensu beans, and when he returned he would give each one a sensu bean, helping them to recover. This instantly brought them back to full health, to the shock of all 3 of them. When they woke up, Gine broke the news to them about what had happened to their home. Both Bardock and Raditz were saddened by the destruction of planet Vegeta, and hearing the death of Vegeta Sr. and his son, as they were all family. Gine began to break down as she said that she had left them, By the time she saved Bardock, the planet was about to explode and she just left, but Bardock didn't hold it against her as she did save them from exploding with the planet. Goku would introduce himself as Bardock was shocked to see his other son after years. Both Bardock and Raditz were happy to see Goku and now knowing that they were on Earth. Goku would invite them all to meet his family as they were all gladly taken. This is also when Goku would sense how powerful they really are, too, since Bardock and Raditz gained a huge Zenkai boost, pushing Bardock to 13 million and Raditz to 8 million. Returning to Kame's house to get back Grandpa Gohan and his son, as the rest of the Z Fighters are shocked to meet Goku's alien family and sensing how powerful Bardock and Raditz are. Bulma does think Raditz to be really cute as well. Arriving back home, Chi-Chi does have a lot to take in, learning all of this about her husband and meeting his family, but gladly would take them in. Bardock, Raditz, and Gine are all interested about Gohan, as of course he is their newest family member, and a hybrid too. Goku's parents were also thanking Grandpa Gohan for taking him in and taking care of their son when he was sent off to this planet. Now with the Sun family all together, they would take this time of peace to reconnect and learn everything with what Goku has done and Goku learning of his Saiyan race. We now move over to Vegeta Sr. and Co. as they all arrive to the planet nearby, which was a former Frieza planet. So it still had healing pods as Nappa placed both Vegetas in there to begin their healing process. Some other Saiyan stragglers headed to this planet as they asked Nappa what was their next move, as he just told them that they would have to wait till Vegeta Sr. wakes up, as he is now once again king of their race, as he told the others about the death of Bardock and his family. Obviously Nappa also doesn't know that they are alive and well. Some time would go by as both Vegetas would recover and get brought up to speed what had happened to their planet. Also for power level's sake, King Vegeta sits at a power level of 11 million in base, meaning a power level of 550 million with Super Saiyan, and Vegeta would sit at a power level of 8 million just like Raditz with their Zenkais. Vegeta Sr., now King Vegeta, once again is very upset with what had happened to his planet, as he told his brother not to bring them back, but then he would realize that his brother is now gone, and his anger dissipated. Not completely, but with him gone, he felt an absent in his spirit, similar to how Vegeta took Goku's death after the Cell games. Same with Vegeta realizing that his rival Raditz is also dead. King Vegeta's plan is to recuperate and bring any remaining Saiyans back together. Even with the planet being destroyed, he doesn't think Broly would have been killed that easily. They would make their current planet their new home, and King Vegeta and his son would focus on training up the other Saiyans and to teach them the Super Saiyan transformation, as their plan was to prepare themselves for the potential future threat of Broly if he is still alive and finds them once again. They would also get a surprise visit from the Galactic Patrol to check in on the Saiyans and to see what had happened, as King Vegeta would tell them everything, and mainly talking about Broly. Jocko would actually confirm King Vegeta's suspicions that Broly did manage to survive the explosion, surrounding himself in a key orb protecting him from being out in space, as they did pick up the massive energy signature, and currently Broly is causing more destruction out in the universe, as he is out of control and no one is strong enough to stop him. To Broly, he is out of control as he destroys any planets he come across. He is full of rage as when he did survive the explosion of the planet, he did see the dead body of his father, as this made him lose full control of himself. No matter what planet he came across, he blew it up without any problem, as he did not come across anyone as powerful as he was, being let loose out in the universe. Back on Earth, things were actually very peaceful for some years without any real threats. Gohan actually started training with Chi-Chi, allowing it as most of their family is trained fighters. Goku, Gohan, and most of the Z Fighters saw immense growth. It took some time, but Raditz would achieve the Super Saiyan form early on, and Goku was actually quickly able to learn the Super Saiyan transformation for himself as well. Without any threats on Earth, the next 4 years would pass as Goku and Chi-Chi would have Goten a lot earlier on, and Raditz and Bulma would actually get together and have Trunks, but this time around Goten being the older of the two. Currently we are on the set time where we will have a future time traveler appear on Earth. But before that, let's discuss power levels. With 4 years of training, everyone would get really strong without any interruptions, and even Bulma would get the idea to create the gravity room with the help of Bardock and Raditz giving her the idea. Now with that, Bardock would be at a power level of 20 million at base, giving him a 1 billion in Super Saiyan. With having perfected the Super Saiyan transformation, he felt something above that but hasn't quite tapped into it. Raditz would be second, sitting at 15 million at base, and finally reaching the Super Saiyan state, putting his power level at 750 million. Goku would be at a power level of 5 million as he did have a lot to catch up on, but with the power of Super Saiyan, his power level would reach up to 250 million. And once he obtained Super Saiyan, he focused more on trying to perfect the form rather than training in his base. Surprisingly, next would be Kami. He took advantage of all the strong fighters around him to really grow as strong as he possibly could, wanting to really fill the role of Guardian of Earth, sitting at a power level of 10 million, as he may have told Bardock about the time chamber and took some more time training with him, but he was starting to feel his power begin to remain the same, as he saw the same happen to the humans and needed to think of a way to grow stronger. Gohan now, being around the age of 9, with his immense potential, he would reach up to a power level of 3 million, as he wasn't too focused on training compared to everyone else, but his potential did give him that extra boost when he did train. The humans all stood at a power level of 2 million and began to struggle with keeping up with everyone else, as they didn't really have a power to help them boost to go stronger. Goten and Trunks would still be too young to train, as at this point Goten is 4 years old and Trunks is 3. Also, this might be the last time I talk about power levels, as after this point in the story the numbers would get too high for me to actually calculate them correctly. When the time traveler arrives, everyone can sense his huge power level, as it even surpasses that of Bardock. But really, everyone can sense how familiar that key is, as everyone would head over to that location. Once they all arrived to see who it was, they were all shocked to see that the person who just showed up was none other than Bardock. But he looked much older and battle-worn than the present one. Bardock was lost for words, seeing the older version of himself. Future Bardock walked up to Goku and Raditz as he hugged them, apologizing as he would also give Goku a medicine for the heart virus that he would eventually get in the future. Bardock also began to tell the story of what had happened to them in the future. Goku would end up catching the heart virus and dying. Bardock, Gine, and Raditz were all heartbroken, losing their long-lost family member after just finding him for a few years. They continued on living peaceful lives for a good while, until one day a huge explosion erupted as Broly ended up arriving on Earth, causing destruction. The Z fighters all tried to fight against him, but he was far too powerful, as he had years of just growing stronger and stronger that no matter what they threw at him, it did not faze him. Many of them died, leaving only Bardock and the hybrid Saiyans left to go fight him off. Kami died, managing to seal Broly with the containment wave, but he wasn't going to be sealed forever, as with how strong Broly is, eventually he would break out of the containment wave. So on a clock, Bulma would spend years making a time machine to go back in time to prevent this from happening. Future Bardock would have tried to train to grow stronger than Broly, but he didn't believe that he could grow as strong as him. Future Bardock even said that Broly was like a god. Eventually the time machine was done and Future Bardock would travel back in time. After telling them the future of what would happen, he would leave, but not after telling his present self that his brother is still alive. Where we last left off, Bardock and the others were warned about the potential major threat of Broly. Bardock was also left stunned after hearing the fact that his brother is still alive, but wasn't so sure on how he could find him, as the universe is a huge place to search. As then Goku would tell Bardock about the Dragon Balls, as they could ask Shenron to bring his brother to Earth. Quickly gathering the Dragon Balls, they would wish for Vegeta Sr. and his son to be teleported back to Earth. They would be transported to Earth, and to their shock to see Bardock and his family still alive, which Vegeta Sr. and his son were happy to see them. But Vegeta Sr. would be confused on how he was brought to this planet, but quickly would yell at Bardock for bringing Broly to their planet, as now it is destroyed. Bardock would get another idea, going to Shenron to wish to undo the destruction of planet Vegeta, which Shenron was able to do, leaving one more wish. Note, with Kami being stronger, he would upgrade the Dragon Balls to be able to make 3 wishes and to remove the 2-year time limit on the time chamber. Bardock thought what to do, as he could wish back all the Saiyans that perished under Broly, or wish to learn about what Broly is up to, but he ended up deciding to bring back the fallen Saiyans, as he believed it was the right thing to do. Bardock would tell his brother everything about the Dragon Balls and how a future version of himself went back in time to warn them about the threat of Broly, and how he killed them all. So with this knowledge, they would begin to train to grow as strong as possible. Before we progress with this current timeline, we will go back to the future timeline and discuss how things went down. Obviously, Goku would have died of the heart virus in age 764. For the next 3 years, the Z-Fighters would continue on living their lives. Bardock, Kami, and Raditz would continue training during the 3 years. Also, sadly, during the 3 years, Grandpa Gohan would pass from old age. After experiencing the death of his father and great-grandfather and honoring of them, Gohan began picking up on his training so that he could feel closer to them. The 4 were the only ones truly training, as the humans began to live a normal life, or trained minimally. In substitution of the androids arriving, Broly would arrive on Earth instead in the age 767. This caught Bardock and Raditz off guard, seeing Broly once again. All the Z-Fighters would sense the power of Broly, as it was something too immense. This Broly has been berserk almost continuously for years. and that means his power has been growing for a very long time. Kami knew they couldn't beat him, and Broly is too strong to be affected by the Dragon Ball's magical powers, so he would contact all the Z Fighters telling them his plan to stop Broly. Everyone would gather to meet Broly, and they were all pretty nervous, especially Raditz as he was almost completely frozen, still scared from their last encounter with Broly. Bardock would warn everyone about how powerful Broly is, and they cannot stall nor hesitate against him. With that said, everyone would charge at Broly, trying everything they can do to stop him, while Kami would prepare to perform the evil containment wave. However, they all underestimated about how much Broly has grown. The humans didn't last long, as a singular punch was enough to end them. Bardock, Raditz, and Gohan all tried to contain Broly, but that was proving to be a struggle, as even with Bardock, who is the strongest Z fighter, was nothing but a bug to Broly. During the fight, Bardock got another vision. Seeing Broly standing on top of his dead brother's body, he would be frozen, learning that his brother is still alive, but also soon would be killed by Broly, as then he would be sent crashing to the ground by a punch from Broly. Broly would then bring his focus to Gohan, but that is when Raditz would attack Broly, pushing him back. He then turns to Gohan, apologizing to his nephew, as he asks Gohan to look out for Trunks for him, shooting a ki blast, sending Gohan crashing into a building, but far away from the battlefield. With just Raditz, he began fighting Broly, but it was shown that he wasn't doing anything against him, as Broly would manage to grab a hold of Raditz, and would then shoot a ki blast, piercing Raditz through the chest, killing him. But this gave Kami the time he needed to capture a still Broly, with the evil containment wave sealing him. Kami used all of his life force to seal Broly, but he would see that the bottle he used to seal Broly was slowly cracking. Bardock would run to Kami, as Kami warned Bardock that Broly wouldn't be sealed forever, as Kami would die as well. Bardock would look over to just see the dead bodies of the Z Fighters, but once he got his eyes on Raditz, he would rush over to him, only to see his lifeless body. His fear grew even more when he couldn't find Gohan, until he would show up looking pretty beaten up after taking Raditz's attack. They were both pretty beaten and saddened over the fact that everyone died and they did not have any means to bring them back. Bardock broke the news to everyone else, as Bulma was broken hearing her husband had died, but it was worse for Gine, as now she had lost both of her children, not too far apart either. Chi-Chi would try to convince Gohan to stop fighting, but Gohan wasn't going to allow that, as now it was up to him and Bardock to save their planet. So for years they would train as much as they could. Bardock even managed to tap into Super Saiyan 2 form while training with Gohan, as he himself finally tapped into the Super Saiyan form. However, no matter how much stronger they get, Bardock doesn't think it's enough, because he keeps getting the same vision of seeing his brother dead over and over again, making him think he can't change the future. Bardock and Gine were in a rough spot as well, as Gine was not well after losing her two sons. She would spend her time with Chi-Chi and Goten trying to recover, but it was difficult. But with Goten around, it did help her, especially since Goten looked a lot like Goku. Goten and Trunks would grow older, being a 9 and 8, as they would like to join Bardock and Gohan in their training, but their mothers refused them without giving them a reason why. But they would sneakily go out to join them in training, as Bardock would tell them about their fathers and the Saiyan race. They would have Super Saiyan at their young age, but Bardock never thought it would be enough, still getting the same visions. We would jump to age 780 when Bulma would finish making the time machine, 4 years earlier than when she did it in the History of Trunks movie, as they were constantly attacked. The seal on Broly was close to breaking, so that is when Bardock would take the time machine to go back in time. Now with that discussed, back to the present timeline, everyone would begin training, the Saiyans sticking together with even Gohan included. For the first year, they would train intensely, with even taking turns going into the time chamber. Bardock would go in with Raditz and Goku in separate times, Vegeta Sr. would go in with Bardock and then his son, and Raditz would go in 2 more times, once with Vegeta and once with his younger brother. Gohan during the first year would also tap into the Super Saiyan power, but not hop into the time chamber. After that, they wouldn't use it again, as each went twice and Bardock went 3 times. And they aren't trying to age up too rapidly. But after the first year, when the Dragon Balls recharged, they would summon Shenron to bring back all the Saiyans to Earth, as they plan to train their army, as Broly is a huge threat that they need everyone. And they would also use another wish to give back the years that they lost in the time chamber. They didn't know what to use their last wish for until Vegeta Sr. stepped in, asking Shenron about the Super Saiyan God, wanting to know how to summon him. Everyone was confused, as they didn't know what the Super Saiyan God was besides Bardock. Vegeta Sr. said that if they are facing a Saiyan that is considered to be a god, then maybe they need one as well. Learning about the ritual, then, they had to decide who would be the Super Saiyan God. Now technically we can have the main crew all become Super Saiyan gods and just have an army of Super Saiyan gods, but that would be a bit much. So Bardock would just be the strongest one, and he would end up being the Super Saiyan God, even if it did make Vegeta Sr. having to swallow his ego. But for the other 3 Saiyans, they didn't complain as they would all rather earn the form than be given it, which Vegeta Sr. did think so as well. Taking a pause on the Saiyans, we move over to Kami and the humans, as currently they are all on King Kai's planet. Kami pulled some strings in the other world to allow all of them to go train under King Kai, to grow stronger, so that they can become more of use when Broly arrives, as they do know how they all perished easily by Broly. And knowing this, they are more motivated to train under King Kai. They would spend their time learning the Kaioken, while Kami would also learn how to use the Spirit Bomb. With the gravity on King Kai's planet not affecting them as they already trained in higher gravity, they would spend the first year learning the Kaioken and trying to perfect it. After the year passes, they would return to Earth and join the Saiyans training under them for the 2 years they had left over. Once the 3 years have passed, everyone stand ready for Broly to arrive. Now when it comes to strength, I'ma just put it in order from strongest to weakest up on the screen. Strongest being Bardock obviously, then going down would follow, with Raditz, Vegeta Sr., Goku and Vegeta being on equal standing, Kami, Gohan, the humans, and the rest of the Saiyans. The day would come with Broly arriving on Earth, but this time he is greeted by an army of Saiyans wanting revenge for what he did to them before. Broly was still as strong as he was in the future, but is now facing an army of Saiyans who were training for 2 years, and a fully prepped, much stronger Z Fighter team. The Z Fighters would try to come up with a plan, but Bardock would just rush in, transforming into his Super Saiyan God form, wanting to end this quickly as he did not want to fail again. Bardock would take the front line, taking on Broly, and with his Super Saiyan God power, they seemed to be on even playing fields. Maybe Bardock being stronger than Broly for now at least. Broly was getting beaten pretty heavily and this was not sitting well with him. For the first time in his life, he was being overpowered and he did not like that, as it made him angrier and powering up even further. He would begin charging up and shooting ki blasts everywhere, as Bardock commanded everyone to protect the Earth as he didn't want a repeat of Planet Vegeta. The Saiyans tried reflecting Broly's ki attacks, with some being able to but others dying to the attack. Bardock would see that the gap between him and Broly was growing smaller by the second, as the others could sense it as well. Now the Z Fighters could sense God Ki. After training with Bardock for 2 years, they would learn how to sense God Ki, like how Vegeta obtained their God form without the ritual in Dragon Ball Super. The Z Fighters would all begin to jump in to aid Bardock as Kami would sit back charging up a Spirit Bomb. All of the Z Fighters would jump Broly, attacking him with all the techniques that they had. Even though it didn't hurt Broly, it was distracting him from his biggest threat, Bardock. Broly was getting angrier by the second until he powered up, pushing everyone back, showing that Broly transformed into his full power Super Saiyan form, as he began fighting back as everyone was now getting beaten. No matter what was thrown at him, Bardock would get another untimely vision, seeing himself fighting what seems to be a purple cat in a blue form. Snapping back, he would go back to fighting Broly, now being the only one who could even deal any type of damage to him. Kami would be done with his Spirit Bomb, and this Spirit Bomb would be powerful, given the fact with how many strong fighters are on Earth to help by giving their energy. With the attack ready, Kami would ask the Z Fighters to stun Broly for a short while. With everything at stake, they would all work together in order to keep Broly still. This is where the humans would come in, as Krillin and Tien would use a Kaioken powered solar flare to blind Broly. Then Kami would convert the Spirit Bomb to compact it, to make it smaller so that it would move faster. But it was also very hard to keep it under control until he threw the attack right at Broly. Everyone would back away to not get hit by the attack. But before it could hit Broly, he managed to recover from the solar flare and barely manages to dodge the Spirit Bomb, to the shock of everyone. Until Bardock would appear in front of the Spirit Bomb as he was trying to deflect the Spirit Bomb back to Broly, but he was struggling a lot. As you can remember, the Spirit Bomb wouldn't hurt someone who is pure of heart, which Bardock isn't really pure, but he isn't evil either. He slowly begins to fall back trying to push the attack, but he is failing, until Goku appears behind him giving him a hand, and with Goku's help, they would reflect the attack sending it back to Broly, as he wasn't paying attention and gets hit by the Spirit Bomb, being sent flying into the sky as a huge explosion erupts. The Saiyans cheer as they believe that Broly is actually finished. Away, future Bardock would arrive to the present time as he wanted to aid them with fighting Broly, but was stunned to sense all the powerful keys that was on the planet. He would fly over to see the army of Saiyans and all the Z Fighters still alive, including his son, Goku. Future Bardock would fight Bardock and Goku, asking if they defeated Broly, as they believed that they did. Future Bardock was also confused on why he couldn't sense Bardock's ki, and asked what was the new form, as Bardock explained to him that the myth of the Super Saiyan God was real. Future Bardock was about to go visit this timeline's King Vegeta, but then Broly's body would crash down to the floor as he is pretty hurt, but finally is barely unconscious.
future Bardock would lose it, transforming into his Super Saiyan 2 form, charging up an attack ready to end Broly. The army of Saiyans were cheering for him to end Broly as they didn't know that this was future Bardock. Even King Vegeta was telling him to end him, but he knew who future Bardock was. Future Bardock was ready to end him, but Bardock tried to tell future Bardock to not kill him as it wasn't Broly's fault, but future Bardock did not hear him until he heard the voice of his youngest son. Goku asking him to spare him and even told him that he wanted to help Broly to learn to control his power, as he could be a good rival and helpful in the future against bigger threats. Future Bardock froze as hearing the voice of his son he lost over 2 decades ago rung in his ears. He struggled to finish Broly as he wanted to badly, as he could only think about everyone he had lost because of Broly. But he would listen to Goku as he was about to power down until Paragus showed up, yelling Broly's name. As future Broly saw, Broly's body began to bulk up, so quickly, future Bardock would kill Paragus shooting a ki blast that goes through him, and Broly would calm down again as he wouldn't have had his father to bring him back to his insanity. After the threat being beaten, the Saiyans wanted to return back to planet Vegeta, which they done so. King Vegeta would ask Bardock if he wanted to return, but Bardock decided to stay as his family is here, and he also didn't want to keep fighting for the mantle of king. But they would want to keep in touch in case of any problems that may come up for either of them, as King Vegeta planned to try to fix the damages that Broly caused in the universe, as he's still unsure of keeping Broly alive. Vegeta would return to planet Vegeta, a bit saddened that Raditz is staying, but he did make a family here so he understood why and promised to come visit them from time to time. Now for future Bardock, as Broly is still a problem in his timeline, so he would hop in the time chamber with his present self to train after having the Super Saiyan God ritual done to him, as they would spend 2 years in the time chamber, as Bardock would teach himself how to handle the God form, while future Bardock showed his past self the Super Saiyan 2 transformation. After his training, he would return to his timeline, going to his Gohan as they would train for the leftover time they had in the time chamber, spending 3 years in there straight. With Gohan's potential, he grew a lot, training with a Super Saiyan God Bardock, as he would learn how to sense God Ki as well, and learn the transformation himself. They would continue training out of the time chamber until eventually Broly would break out of the containment as he would try to cause more chaos. But he would be met with Bardock and Gohan both in their Super Saiyan God form, and much more powerful than when he first met them. With all these years of training, they did, and with the help of the past obtaining the Super Saiyan God form, Broly wouldn't stand a chance, especially when there are 2 powerful Saiyans way stronger than him. With them knowing about his always growing power, Bardock and Gohan wouldn't waste time in ending Broly, as in this timeline, he wouldn't be as lucky as his past self. With Broly being taken down, they can finally live their lives in peace, but would have to live with all their loved ones that had died. Back to the current timeline, with everyone alive, they would continue training during the 7-year time skip. Gohan would still focus on his academics, but Goten and Trunks wouldn't, as they would focus more on training and enjoying that more, with the entire Sun family training together. Bardock, Goku, Raditz, Goten, and Trunks, with Goku and Raditz wanting to learn the Super Saiyan God form. The humans would join in from time to time, as Kami would join in a lot, wanting to grow even further. And with Kaioken, he can definitely slowly catch up because of how his biology works, allowing him to push his body even more with Kaioken. Goku would also spend a lot of time with Broly trying to get to know him, and begin helping him with trying to control his anger and his immense power during the 7-year time skip. They would have a good friendship, and that did help Broly a lot since Goku was the only one who showed kindness to Broly, as the others were afraid of him. But he would also befriend Goten and Trunks, as they would spend a lot of time with Broly in secret, as they didn't actually know what went down with Broly when he was a threat to the planet, as they were still little when it occurred. On planet Vegeta, King Vegeta and his son would work on trying to undo the damages done by Broly, which was hard since Broly destroyed many planets. The Saiyans began working with the Galactic Patrol in order to solve the universe's problems as a way to repay for what Broly did. After defeating Broly and stopping him from being a bigger threat in the future, we went through the 7-year time skip. So we will quickly discuss what everyone has been up to. On Earth, the Sun family just continued training, with Goku and Raditz learning the Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan God form from their father Bardock. Broly was slowly gaining trust for the other Z fighters as he began training with more of them, but they were still careful with Broly so he didn't go berserk. but was able to at least use his wrathful state without losing control. Kami grew a lot during the 7 years, with spending most of his time in the time chamber alone and training with the Saiyans. He would manage to perfect the Kaioken and learn to use the Spirit Bomb more effectively. He would even release King Piccolo to force to fuse with him to become the full Namekian they once were, giving Kami a pretty good boost in power, and since he was the much stronger half, he completely took over as he still was pure enough to remain the guardian of Earth. The humans kept training here and there, but were more slowly starting to relax to live out their lives normally. Goten and Trunks learned both the Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2 forms at their young age and can sense God Ki as well, but their young bodies held them back from tapping into the God form. With Gohan, he didn't train much, just doing the bare minimum, as for him, he could tap into the Super Saiyan 2 form, but cannot use it as well as compared to the two younger hybrid Saiyans, with how much they trained non-stop while he focused more on school and slacked on training. Gohan's school life would also be very normal, as he didn't really ever become the Great Saiyan Man. Also here, Mr. Satan isn't as popular as he never got that big boost from quote-unquote defeating Cell, as Cell never existed in his timeline, but would still win the tournaments nevertheless. Gohan would still meet Videl, and I think they would still work out in the end, but in a different way. But I do also see her meeting his family, as they are much bigger this time around, and Gohan is related to the Brief family as well. Vegeta would stop by to visit Raditz and have an occasional sparring matches to see who was stronger. Most of the time though, it was Raditz who won the matches. Vegeta did achieve the Super Saiyan God form, as he and his father earned their forms while training intensely on planet Vegeta. King Vegeta has even been taking his training super seriously, as he wanted to grow stronger than Bardock, spending every waking moment training. With the Saiyans on planet Vegeta with helping out the Galactic Patrol, they were managing to help bring peace back to the universe. King Vegeta and Vegeta even found the planet Namek, meeting the Namekians and learning that they too had Dragon Balls, as they wanted to restore all life and planets that was wiped out by Broly, which they did, and was restoring the destruction that was caused in the universe. Now with the 7 years having passed, they would hear about a new world tournament going on, and Goku would tell everyone that it would be a fun idea for everyone to participate in the tournament, since it has been a few years since they participated in one, as they would sign up for the tournament with only a minor difference being Goten beating Trunks in the Kid division. Gohan never really becoming the Great Saiyan Man or being bribed, he wouldn't really be participating in the tournament, but would still go along with Videl and teach her how to fly. But more importantly, since Gohan's family is stronger and training most of the time, she would join in from time to time, giving her a bigger boost in power compared to her canon self. The Supreme Kai would also introduce himself to the group rather than them figuring out who he is, especially since the Z Fighters could sense the God Ki coming from the Supreme Kai and Kibito. The Supreme Kai would explain all about Boo and how he is currently potentially a universal threat that is currently on Earth. The others wouldn't mind helping out, as they already had dealt with the universal threat before, that being Broly. Videl would face off against Popovich, but this time around she would be the one beating on him, as she grew much more powerful than Kanan, as he wouldn't stand a chance against her. For the next match, let's just say that Gohan would be replaced by Kami, as he wouldn't mind participating this time around. They would try to take Kami's energy, but he is far too strong for them to hold him down, even with the help of the Supreme Kai, which then they would flee back to Babidi's hideout, as the Z Fighters would follow them. Quickly arriving at his lookout, things would play out pretty easy. All the Z Fighters are much stronger than their canon selves. Even the humans were pretty strong alone, even though they didn't train as much as the others. However, with their training partners who were already very powerful, their gains in training with them would be much better. Daburo's attempt to turn them into stones wouldn't work, as everyone would be too fast to get hit, as Bardock would quickly end Dabura in his Super Saiyan form without much effort. Powering back down, they would enter in Babidi's hideout. His minions wouldn't be much of a challenge, as anyone here would be able to deal with them without effort. Here, Babidi wouldn't be able to mind control anyone here, as well as none of them are evil. You could even try to argue Broly, but that wouldn't be the case either, as he never really had any evil intentions. But maybe Babidi would have a small chance if Broly was going berserk, but with the training and meditation he did with Goku for 7 years, achieving a calmer mind state, he wouldn't fall under mind control. Meaning for Babidi that he is screwed and would be killed off by the Supreme Kai, and that Boo would not be freed, as he would remain in the safe hands of the Supreme Kai. He would thank them all for the help, as he wished he could offer something in return to the Z Fighters, as training them wouldn't do much for the Saiyans, as they are much stronger than what he could do for them. But he would turn over to Kami and the Earthlings, saying he could train them to make them stronger if they wanted to. Kami would jump at the opportunity, and so would Tien, Krillin, and Yamcha. Bringing peace once again to Earth, we would then go through a 4-year time skip to the start of Super. The majority of the Sun family continued to train, but when it came to Bardock, his age was slowly catching up to him as he would soon lose his prime body, so what he wanted to do was to make sure his sons and grandsons were strong enough to protect the planet themselves without him, as truthfully he was the one always solving the problems with ending Frieza and stopping Broly. He knew he wasn't always going to be around, so he wanted to pass on the torch to his family. Truth be told, he did tap into the Super Saiyan Blue form, but he kept it hidden and wanted his sons to tap into it so they'd get the sense that they have surpassed their father, only explaining to them that he feels something beyond the Super Saiyan God form. Gohan even started training again, mainly because Videl was so insistent on it, as she too kept training. With his immense potential, he quickly caught up with perfecting Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan God, being close to on par with his father and uncle. With calming the humans, they spent years on the Supreme Kai's planet as they broke the Z Sword, releasing the Elder Kai, and would all get their potential unleashed, getting the Mystic form. They would also learn the Kai Kai. With Planet Vegeta, the Saiyans kept growing in strength as an entire race, with the average Saiyan warrior having the Super Saiyan 2 form. But with the King and his son, they both had the Super Saiyan God form, and even the King achieved something greater: Super Saiyan Blue, just like Bardock. Vegeta would have been on par with his father, but he had a Saiyan wife and started a family just a lot later than normally. The time would come where Beerus would wake up from his rest as Whis would tell him about the Super Saiyan God, and how there are more than just one in this universe, which this excites Beerus as he asks Whis on who is the strongest one. Whis would then show an image of Bardock, explaining how he was the first Super Saiyan, how he killed Frieza, and also how he stopped a very powerful Saiyan that was causing destruction all around the universe, and how he went beyond the power of a Super Saiyan God. Hearing all this news showed Beerus how the Saiyans survived and even tried to rebuild the universe from the destructions that they've caused. He would demand Whis to begin heading over to Earth as he wanted to fight Bardock right away, barely being able to contain his excitement. On Earth, it was Bulma's birthday party as everyone would be there, but one thing that would be different is that the Saiyans on Earth and King Vegeta and Vegeta can sense the immense God Ki coming right to Earth. King Vegeta wouldn't know it was Beerus, as when he did meet Beerus the first time in the past, he couldn't sense God Ki, but he knew something was wrong as he and Vegeta began heading to Earth with a spaceship. Beerus would arrive to the party a lot earlier on, but a bit surprised to see that they were already waiting for him, even without the warning that King Kai would have given them in the canon story. Beerus would quickly shout his demands to fight Bardock since he is the Super Saiyan God. Bardock would try to state that his sons are stronger than he is, but Beerus would just yell out saying that he knows about the blue form, which shocks everyone else as Bardock just sighed a bit angrily as his plan was ruined, but he insisted that all he had was the Super Saiyan God form as he would power up to it. Beerus was growing furious, being lied to as he began charging up, as the Z fighters all began to rush at Beerus. The humans all attacked together as they knew they wouldn't stand a chance fighting a one-on-one, but together they would be a pretty dangerous trio. However, even with the 4 years of training with the Supreme Kai, they were taken down by Beerus really quickly. Kami would try to warn everyone not to engage with Beerus, but that would prove useless as no one listened to him. Goten and Trunks would try to attack Beerus. Even though they are stronger this time around, they both are very much too cocky, as they believe that they could take down Beerus. This being the first time they face against a threat as Boo was taken down prematurely. Beerus barely moved at the sight of them, and would hit them with just a flick of his finger, knocking the two young fighters easily. This angered Goku, Raditz, and Gohan, all tapping into their god forms, and together tried to fight Beerus. Beerus would stop them, saying that if they try to fight him, he would simply just destroy the planet, as he only wanted to fight the strongest Saiyan God, as he would point to Bardock, asking him once again. However, Goku did not listen as he would rush at Beerus ready to fight him, but would be met with a fierce gut punch by Beerus, as he wasn't holding back. He was about to use the Hakai on Goku, but in an instant, Bardock charges up to Beerus, attacking him full force. He wasn't going to allow his family and friends to get hurt anymore, and seeing how Beerus was ready to kill Goku, Bardock was enraged. Their fight began abruptly with how furious Bardock was. Even if he was holding back, Beerus liked the strength he sensed in Bardock. To be noted that this Bardock in his Super Saiyan God form is much more powerful than canon Super Saiyan God Goku. Their fight begins to go all over the planet as so much pressure was being created by the two fighters that everyone else was worried that they might destroy the planet. They brought up their fight to space as Beerus was very impressed with Bardock as he trained himself to perfect the Super Saiyan God form and even reached a higher level without any help or training from an actual god. Beerus asked Bardock why he wouldn't admit to having a higher level of power, as Bardock explained how he wanted to pass on the torch to his sons, because he knew he wouldn't be around forever. Beerus just grew a sinister grin, powering up further as he began to beat on Bardock, explaining that he will give Bardock what he wants, beating Bardock as he wanted Bardock to use that other level of power that he has that would be the only thing that could save him. But Bardock refused to, being heavily beaten down but still in his Super Saiyan God form. Beerus grew upset as he would begin to charge up a death ball, but then he would be attacked by a bright blue aura as Bardock sees his brother, as he too achieved the Super Saiyan Blue form. King Vegeta would mock Bardock for showing such weakness as a Saiyan, finding it hard to believe that he is his brother. Bardock tried to explain to King Vegeta what he was trying to do, but King Vegeta would cut him off, giving him a speech saying that they are Saiyans and they will always fight till the end. If he wanted to pass down the torch to his sons, then he must be as strong as possible to make them even stronger once Bardock's time is up. Bardock sighs as he powers up to his Super Saiyan Blue form as together they face off against Beerus. However, once King Vegeta saw who they were facing, he grew a bit nervous, remembering their last encounter, but with his brother by his side, he believed that together they could pull it off. Beerus was having a blast fighting the two strongest Saiyans in the universe, both being in the form that is above Super Saiyan God. Their battle was so immense that it could be felt all over the universe. There were even moments where the brothers were pushing Beerus back with their combined effort. Beerus couldn't believe it, as these two Saiyans were the strongest people he has ever faced in his life. They kept pushing Beerus, making him hold back less and less. But when powering up more, the brothers began to struggle as Bardock would be knocked out of his Super Saiyan Blue form, but would go right back into his Super Saiyan God form as he was more efficient in this form compared to his brother. They were not letting up at all during the fight, as Beerus still threatened to destroy both Earth and Planet Vegeta if they don't go all out. Beerus would even tell them how he told Frieza to destroy Planet Vegeta all those years ago. Hearing that brought the primal rage of both Bardock and King Vegeta, going all out, rushing straight to Beerus as they continued to clash. Each clash made a huge pressure wave that shook the earth. Goku, Raditz, and Vegeta were worried about their fathers and wondered if they should go help them out, but Whis would stop them, saying that they have it under control. Back to the fight, Beerus would begin charging up a death ball once more, throwing it right at the earth, as both Bardock and King Vegeta jumped in front of it, shooting their own attack together. Bardock was quite shocked to see his brother helping him protect a planet that isn't his, but King Vegeta would just tell Bardock to shut up and use every ounce of power they had left. They tried their hardest but would end up succumbing to the attack, but just like how Goku did in the movie, they managed to disperse the attack, but were back in their base form. It wasn't over for them yet, as they were gonna fight till their bodies gave out, going into their Super Saiyan forms to go straight back to fighting Beerus. However, it was futile as they were exhausted and barely strong enough to hurt Beerus, as a simple tap from him knocked them back to their base. Beerus gave them props as they were the strongest fighters he has ever met, and he told them how he wasn't going to destroy their planets as he just wanted them to fight at their strongest. Bardock and King Vegeta would pass out due to exhaustion as Beerus would bring them back to Earth and hand them to the Z Fighters, telling them how he was impressed by the Saiyans and said that he won't destroy their planet, but he would offer them that they could train on his planet if they pleased. Beerus would also eat some food at the party before he left with Whis. Once Bardock and King Vegeta woke up, they began to eat as they did really need the fuel, but then Bardock's sons would come up to him asking why he kept the blue form a secret from them and wanted to know what was going on. Bardock gave them the truth on how he was done with fighting and how he was gonna soon be old. He wanted to make them believe that they would surpass him with his new form so that they think they could protect the planet without him anymore. King Vegeta was pretty upset at Bardock asking how he could give up on fighting as he is a Saiyan. Even if their age is catching up to them, they still have a good few years left. It would then just be King Vegeta and Bardock together as King Vegeta did his best trying to convince Bardock to keep on fighting, saying they may come a threat that only he could fight or a moment where they need everyone to be at their strongest to win, giving Bardock the idea that he has to fight until he physically no longer can. He didn't like the idea, but he understood why. He wanted to protect his family, and ever since he arrived on Earth, his family grew much bigger, so now he has more to lose. He then thinks about his future self with how much he has lost, but yet his mind was left still wavering on this decision. The humans would decide to stay on Earth as they can't have everyone leave the Earth defenseless, while Kami 2 would stay only because he cannot leave his post. The two younger Saiyans would love to go, but their mothers refused them to go since they are still too young to be leaving off-world. Gohan would actually want to go, but would have to wait a bit until his first daughter is born. Goku, Raditz, and Vegeta would all go as they even made a promise to each other to continue to grow strong. And with Goku and Raditz, their goal was to surpass Bardock so that he wouldn't have to fight anymore, as what he told them really stuck to them. And they realized what he said was true. He was the one that stopped Frieza and the one who stopped Broly. Even him from the future was dealing with all the problems. King Vegeta would take turns with his son as someone needed to stay on planet Vegeta to be king. King Vegeta would also look at his brother, asking him if he had decided to go or not. Bardock still unsure if he wanted to, as his sons are no doubt stronger, but it's just that Bardock is stronger by a good margin than anyone else, even his own brother. What stuck to his mind though was that what his brother told him. The fear of a threat showing up that only he could face, or if the world needs every fighter saving it. He just can't let himself become weak because he is done fighting. But most of his life was just him fighting, as he stood there silent as the others waited for his answer. Where we last left off, the Saiyans were invited to Beerus' planet to train to grow stronger. However, with Bardock, he wouldn't know if he would want to go with the rest as he still wanted to give up on training, but with what his brother told him, he decided that he would go. With everyone training on Beerus' planet, they would actually never be interrupted by Frieza as he would never be revived, since the Frieza force would be completely taken down because of King Vegeta and the Saiyans, as they liberated any Frieza planet they came across and killed any remaining Frieza soldiers they spotted. So, the events of the Resurrection F movie would never happen, leaving the group remaining on Beerus' planet to continue their training. All the Saiyans that were on Beerus' planet achieved the Super Saiyan Blue form, besides Broly, as he didn't really need nor wanted the Super Saiyan God transformations, as he focused more on training to control his anger and his already massive power, as he was able to transform into a Super Saiyan without going berserk. With how many Saiyans were on the planet, their gains were much more massive. Bardock was still the strongest as he's managed to perfect the Super Saiyan Blue form since he had the form for years already compared to the others, while King Vegeta would have perfected the form if he didn't have to take turns with Vegeta on switching over from Beerus' planet to Planet Vegeta. After a few months of them training on Beerus' planet, the arrival of Champa and Vados would occur as Beerus and his brother would still have their rivalry spout to see who has the better universe. But Goku would still suggest to do the tournament as normal as each universe would have to pick 5 fighters. Now for Universe 7, their team would be rather different, with having Bardock as their first obvious choice, with also Goku and Raditz joining the team. Now they needed 2 more as Beerus really wanted King Vegeta, but when it came to King Vegeta and his son, they both couldn't be away, so only one could participate in the tournament. Since King Vegeta did fight Beerus earlier, he allowed his son to be in this tournament while he stayed as he thought it would be a good experience for Vegeta. All they needed was one more person. Beerus wanted Broly since he was very powerful, but he was also not fully stabled, and Broly himself thought it wouldn't be a good idea for him to join. So Gohan participated as he would decide to join the tournament. With this new Universe 7 team, they would head over to the arena, to their shock to learn that Universe 6 had Saiyans as well, as Bardock would learn everything he can about those different Saiyans from another universe. And he would be glad that they were safe and sound in Universe 6 as they never had to fight for their freedom like how Bardock had to do when he and the other Saiyans rebelled against Frieza's rule. Once the Universe 7 Saiyan team spots the rest of the team of Universe 6, they would get very upset seeing Frost as he did remind them heavily of Frieza. Besides Gohan and Goku as they never met Frieza in this timeline. When Bardock learned that Frost was considered to be a good guy in Universe 6, he didn't believe it for 1 second. So as Raditz and Vegeta did as well. Now for the lineup of Universe 7, it would go as Goku, Bardock, Vegeta, Raditz, and Gohan. The first match would be Goku vs Botama as Goku would be able to take out Botama rather easily like he did in the normal timeline, ending the match very quickly. Moving on to round 2 would be Goku vs Frost. Going up against Frost, Goku would still be nice to Frost as this time around Goku actually never met Frieza and only heard stories about him from his father. But he didn't let that cloud his judgment with Frost. But the kindness Goku showed made his brother, father, and cousin very angry as they tried to tell him not to trust Frost. That fight would go on, but Goku would not make Frost transform as he doesn't know that he can transform in this timeline. Since he is much stronger in this timeline as well, he would also actually beat Frost rather easily without ever getting stabbed. Even if Frost did try to stab Goku with his hidden needle, he wouldn't be able to as Goku would be much faster than Frost. Moving on to the third match, it would be against Automagetta. Now Goku would struggle a bit as nothing he would throw at him would hurt him until he would slip out a mean comment, which would hurt Magetta's feelings. And that is when he figures out his weakness and would exploit it, shouting more mean comments to win the match, even if he did not like that way of winning the match. Moving on to a more interesting match, it would be Goku facing Kaba, as Goku was looking forward to this match, wanting to go against a Saiyan from another universe, to see how strong they are. Goku would learn about the other Saiyans from Universe 6 and would be surprised to learn that Kaba cannot transform into a Super Saiyan. He would be a bit disappointed that these other Saiyans aren't as strong as the Saiyans in Universe 7, so Goku would talk to Kaba telling him everything that happened to the Saiyans from Universe 7, as it would shock Kaba on how the entire race of Saiyans from Universe 7 are so powerful. Goku would also train Kaba like how Vegeta did in the normal timeline. However, Goku would take the more patient route and be able to teach Kaba the Super Saiyan transformation as their fight would actually begin. Goku would be impressed with Kaba with how fast he would grow, But once Goku transforms into the Super Saiyan 2 form, he would knock out Kaba out really easily, leaving the last fighter from Universe 6 as it would be Hit. Champa would be yelling at Hit to win the match as he is currently very upset on how his team was almost completely beaten by one fighter. Now Goku would be a bit taken aback once he saw Hit's fighting pose, as he would think that he isn't a strong foe. Note, this Goku was somewhat pampered his whole life as he never really fought a threat alone before, so he lost a lot of experience in fighting, and he never really faced someone much stronger than him, so he would also be a bit cocky as well. But he would soon see how wrong he is as he would try to strike Hit in his base form, but would be attacked without seeing Hit moving. Everyone would be shocked to see Goku being hurt without his opponent even moving an inch. Goku would power up to a Super Saiyan Blue form to fight Hit seriously, as Hit would use his time skip ability again to attack Goku. But this time around, Goku would actually be able to see Hit move around, but still won't be fast enough to dodge the attack. Goku is stronger this time around, but without Kaioken to boost his power further, he will not be able to push his limits to break through the time skip, since he never learned the Kaioken in this what if scenario. Even being stronger, Goku would not be able to beat Hit and eventually would be taken down, as he wouldn't be able to beat him with just his strength. Next person up would be Bardock, as he was paying attention the entire fight and would come down to the conclusion that Hit can stop time to attack. Goku also tells his father that to not hold back, as the stronger he is, then he would be able to break through the time skip. So, when the match begins, Bardock would power up to his strongest form, revealing a new transformation. Since Bardock perfected the Super Saiyan Blue so early on, and with all the training partners he had, he would achieve a new level of power, the Super Saiyan Blue evolution form. This power coming from Bardock is so intense that everyone is shocked to sense it. Even Beerus and Champa were surprised by Bardock. Bardock would charge at Hit ready to face him, and once Hit would activate the time skip, Bardock would be able to break through the time skip and be able to attack Hit. Bardock being much stronger than anyone else by a large margin, with this new form of power, he would easily be able to beat Hit since Hit's time skip won't work on Bardock, and Bardock would win the tournament for Universe 7. Beerus would still use the Super Dragon Balls to restore his brother's own Earth, and that is when Zeno would appear, scaring both gods of destructions. Goku, still being the friendly person he is, would still go up to Zeno as usual until his father would smack him across the head to pull him away from Zeno. But Goku would still get off the idea of a tournament with every universe to Zeno. Once Zeno warned the gods of destructions, he would leave and everyone would return back to their universe, and most of the Saiyans would return back to training. When King Vegeta saw what his brother achieved, he trained even harder to try to catch up to him as they trained together every day. We fast forward a few months as in the Sun family house, a time machine appears as two grown-up versions of Goten and Trunks comes out of a time machine, passing out as Chi-Chi and Guinea grew worried instantly, recognizing the two hybrid Saiyans. As in our timeline, Goten and Trunks arrived as they were training to see their older versions of themselves. Bulma would contact Whis to bring everyone back to Earth, as when they did arrive, Bardock was shocked to see that the future timeline is still endangered. Future Goten and Trunks would tell Bardock what had happened as they almost couldn't believe it. In the future timeline, after taking care of Broly, things started feeling normal as there wasn't a threat looming over them anymore. Bardock and Gohan continued their training as they were the only protectors left. Trunks and Goten trained from time to time, but their families wanted them to have somewhat of a normal life, so they cut down on the training. Bardock and Gohan would actually venture out in space in search of his brother and the remaining Saiyans, since future Bardock knew his brother is still alive. They left the protection of Earth to both Goten and Trunks, as they believed they could deal with it and they didn't think anything bad would happen when they were gone. But they were wrong. Babidi arrived on Earth to release Buu. Together they would end up facing Dabura, which even with the combined force, together was a challenge for them, as they never did heavily trained, as the two of them barely did and barely had any control of Super Saiyan 2. Eventually the Supreme Kai would arrive to assist the two in fighting Dabura. Even though it was a tough battle, with all three of them they would manage to kill both Dabura and Babidi before Buu was freed. But sadly, the death of the Supreme Kai would still happen. Goten and Trunks would have blamed themselves, as if they continued their training then they would have been strong enough to save the Supreme Kai. They would destroy Buu's egg and continue training until Bardock and Gohan returned without finding the other Saiyans, as they told them what had happened and their true training began. Things were looking normal for a short while until one day in a city a huge explosion erupted, as Bardock and Gohan went over to take a look, and who they saw shocked them, especially Bardock. It was himself, but clothed differently, and next to him was Zamasu. A fight would soon break out as Bardock would fight against himself while Gohan faced Zamasu. However, they would be having trouble as Zamasu is immortal and could wear out Gohan while Bardock Black was slowly growing stronger and stronger, getting used to the Saiyan body. But Bardock is much stronger since he does have his God Ki, currently meaning that Bardock Black and Zamasu would fuse much earlier on to become fused Zamasu, and once they fused they became too powerful. Even with both Bardock and Gohan in their Super Saiyan God forms, it was not enough. Goten and Trunks would try to aid them in this fight, but it wouldn't be enough as Bardock would demand them to take the time machine to go get help from the past timeline, and this is where we are right now. Bardock instantly wanted to go to the past as he didn't want to waste any time, but he was not going alone as King Vegeta wanted to go with him to help his brother. Future Goten and Trunks would teach them how to use the time machine as they wanted to stay to grow stronger in the meantime. Bardock and King Vegeta would arrive in the future to see future Gohan knocked out in the ground and Fuse Zamasu beating on future Bardock ready to kill him until both Bardock and King Vegeta attacked Fuse Zamasu together, powering up into their respective strongest form. At the start, the brothers were dealing with Fuse Zamasu rather very easily, then they started to underestimate this opponent, but slowly throughout time, Fuse Zamasu was growing stronger and stronger. Fuse Zamasu would also tell Bardock how he stole his body and what happened in that timeline. Once Zamasu had his body, he killed off his entire family, and imagining that in another time his family was killed all by him, Bardock grew enraged, having to think about his loved ones being killed by his own body. Powering up, attacking Fuse Zamasu with every ounce of power he had. Bardock shot a full power attack right at Zamasu as he was about to get hit, but he would manage to dodge the attack as Bardock wasn't fully focused as Zamasu began beating on Bardock. More time went on as Bardock and King Vegeta were growing tired, noticing that Fuse Zamasu was not growing tired at all. The longer they fought, Fuse Zamasu was just growing as the Bardock Black half of the fusion was growing stronger, getting used to the body. They were about to rush at Zamasu, but future Bardock would stop them, saying that they might have a plan to stop Zamasu, but they would need to hold off Zamasu for a while he returns back to the past. Bardock and King Vegeta remained holding off Zamasu, but they were already pretty exhausted. Future Bardock would return to the past to the disliking of Beerus as he didn't like the mortals that were messing with time. But Bardock would explain to Beerus about what happened, describing what Zamasu looked like, and this gave both Beerus and Whis thinking about a potential Kai from another universe, as then they would leave to go deal with a potential issue. With future Bardock's idea, he would quickly head over to the lookout as he would meet with this timeline's Kami, as he wanted to learn how to perform the evil containment wave as he began training to learn the technique. It would take a few hours until he perfected that technique, as then both future Goten and Trunks came out of the time chamber, both in their newest transformation. Future Goten in his Super Saiyan Blue form while future Trunks in his Super Saiyan God form. Like the opposite of their grandfathers, future Goten focused on getting as strong as possible, working on the Super Saiyan Blue form, while future Trunks focused on perfecting the Super Saiyan God form. Future Bardock was impressed to see how much stronger the two has gotten, as the two quickly outgrew himself and future Gohan. With all three of them returning back to the future timeline, as we see both Bardock and King Vegeta barely standing in their base form as they have almost no energy left to fight back. Fuse Zamasu was ready to end them both until both future Goten and Trunks protected them. Future Bardock brought some senzu beans with them as he gave them to future Gohan, the present timeline Bardock, and King Vegeta. Future Bardock told all of them to hold off Fuse Zamasu while he prepared the evil containment wave. All five of them began fighting Fuse Zamasu as they were overpowering him since they have the advantage in numbers. He was taking heavy damage and was growing angry with being beaten by mere mortals, as he was starting to deform, going into the appearance of his half-purple body. With the combined forces of all five of the fighters, they actually managed to stun Fuse Zamasu long enough that future Bardock was able to hit him with the evil containment wave, and would be able to seal him as he isn't like someone else who would forget the cover to keep him sealed. Future Bardock would thank his past self and brother for helping them as they wouldn't have been able to stop this foe without them. Bardock would ask for the container as he knows a way to keep Fuse Zamasu from coming back completely. Future Bardock would return Bardock and King Vegeta back to their timeline as Beerus and Whis returned from their travels. The Guardian Angel went to look over in Universe 10 watching Zamasu, and once they saw the attempt of him trying to assassinate Goasu and would end up erasing him to prevent this timeline Zamasu from activating the Zero Mortal plan. Bardock would hand over the container that kept Fuse Zamasu as Beerus would grab it using his destruction energy to erase Fuse Zamasu, as well so he would never be able to come back. Future Bardock would thank Beerus as well, but Beerus just demanded him to return to his timeline and he doesn't like how mortals were messing with time, but he was glad that he did return to save this timeline as it did result in this Bardock achieving the Super Saiyan God form very early. After dealing with Fuse Zamasu, everyone would continue on with their training on Beerus' planet until Beerus and Whis would get a call to a meeting with the other gods of destruction and angels about a certain announcement. Where we last left off, Beerus and Whis were summoned with the other angels and gods of destructions, as they would be notified about the tournament of power. Given that they have 2 days to form a team, Beerus and Whis would have little issue to form a 10-member team. Bardock will be the first pick, as Goku, Raditz, and Gohan will join in as well. Broly would also decide to join, even though he doesn't think he is fully ready, but with how the universe is at stake, he would see this as a way for him to make up for all the damage he did years ago. With the universe at stake, both King Vegeta and Vegeta would join in, leaving Planet Vegeta without their ruler. With only needing 3 members left, they would go to Earth asking for Kami and the Earthlings, as they are the last 3 they would need. They did train much more than their canon counterpart, however with the humans they have been lacking on their training recently, so they decided to sit this one out. But with Kami, he decided that he would join. Having 2 spots left over, the only ones they have left to ask are Goten and Trunks. So they would make up for the rest of the team. With the team formed much easier and quicker, they actually have some time to prepare, at least Kami and the 2 young hybrids. They would even go into the time chamber with Whis to train for a year so that they could grow as much as possible. And with an angel, food wouldn't be an issue. So with the day they had left over, they would train to catch up as much as possible, as the others would try to make up a plan, as Bardock would be the leader of Universe 7 instead of Gohan. Breaking the team into groups with Bardock and King Vegeta, Goku and Gohan, Vegeta with Raditz, and the rest of the team would stick together. The day would pass as Kami, Goten, and Trunks all learned God Ki, as the hybrids even learned the Super Saiyan God transformation, as everyone would head over to the tournament arena. The tournament would begin as everyone would split up. With Goku and Gohan, they would meet with the Universe 6 Saiyans, as they would meet Kale and Khalifa. During their match, Goku would do what he did in the normal timeline, with helping the Universe 6 Saiyans with growing stronger and achieving higher levels of Super Saiyan. Gohan would just observe until Kale would lose control, as he would join in to help his father fighting the 3 Saiyans. Raditz and Vegeta would start out strong by taking on many fighters from Universe 2 without having to use any transformations, until they are met with the trio of beauty fighters, Ribrianne, Kankusa, and Rosie. At first they were a bit taken aback by these fighters, thinking they aren't much, but soon they would see that they are quite powerful and would transform into their Super Saiyan God forms to begin fighting them off. Onto Bardock and King Vegeta, no one is standing in their way, especially with how powerful they both are. Only in their Super Saiyan forms they pose a big threat. They come in contact with the Pride Troopers and showed off how dangerous the brothers are. They took out most of the Pride Troopers out early on, to the point where Toppo and Dispo arrived to fight these 2 off. Seeing how strong they are, Toppo would not hesitate to transform into his God of Destruction form. Seeing this, both Bardock and King Vegeta transform into their strongest forms as well. Since Bardock was the stronger one, he would face Toppo while King Vegeta faced Dispo. Also, away from the battle, Jiren would stop meditating, as he sensed the power coming from the brothers and would consider it enough to be a possible threat. With the bigger group of Universe 7, they are fighting the other members of Universe 6. Kami was quite interested in the Namekians from another universe, and heard how their entire race fused into 2 Namekians because of this tournament. However, even with all that fusing, they weren't enough to take on Kami, with all the training he has done and having both the Kaioken and Mystic form under his belt. Goten and Trunks were having fun fighting Botamo and Automagetta. Even though the situation is dire, they are still kids and never really fought any threats before. Broly on the other hand has beaten up Frost rather easily, but now is going up against Hit, which is proving to be quite a challenge, as he is taking a lot of damage from Hit, but he can tank it. Slowly he is seeing how the more he powers up, the more he can move during Hit's time skip. Back to Goku and Gohan, they managed to calm Kale down to where she can control her power, but even then it is not enough when Goku and Gohan are both in their Super Saiyan Blue forms. Champa grew upset, as he would throw the Potara earrings to the sisters as they would fuse into Kefla. Since Goku here is nowhere near close to learning Ultra Instinct, both Goku and Gohan would have to fight together to beat Kefla. Luckily, with the fact that together the father and son are strong enough to overpower her without the need of Ultra Instinct. Kaba would ask Goku to wish back his universe after they win the tournament, as he didn't believe that his universe could win, and Goku would make that promise to bring back Kaba and his universe. They would have a spar both in their Super Saiyan 2 forms, as Goku wanted to enjoy this spar before knocking Kaba out of the arena. Raditz and Vegeta would have been able to overpower the Beauty Trio with a combined Ki Blast attack, but would be met with another force, the Wolf Trio. Together they thought they were unbeatable, but Vegeta grew a bit too cocky and got blinded by Lavender's poison manipulation, leaving him struggling to fight back. Seeing how he may not be able to fight the rest of the tournament, Vegeta decided to focus the best he can as he would grab a hold of Lavender, throwing both of them off the arena, leaving the remaining Wolf brothers stunned for a moment, giving Raditz the chance to charge the two brothers, knocking them out. King Vegeta would be able to make quick work of Dispo, and would go try to help Bardock, but then he would be attacked by Jiren. King Vegeta wouldn't think much of Jiren until they began fighting, and he could see how strong Jiren really is. Bardock would see how his brother is struggling and would try to go help him, but Toppo isn't letting up, until Goku and Gohan arrive, taking Toppo and allowing Bardock to aid his brother in fighting Jiren. The energy coming from the three during their battle began to shake the arena and push everyone nearby away. Alone, Bardock nor King Vegeta could beat Jiren, but together they have a slight chance if they really focus on teamwork. Kami would have dealt with the Namekians, but the two young Saiyans would have been knocked out of the arena by the pressure coming from their grandfathers and Jiren. Broly would still be in combat with Hit, as even in his Super Saiyan form, in a control state, it isn't enough to fully break through the time barrier. His strength does continue to grow, but at the rate he is going now, he would be knocked out before he gets the chance to fight back, so he would allow himself to lose control again. Going into his Berserk form to finally break through the time skip, attacking Hit, and since Hit was caught off guard, he would be sent flying out of the arena. But now Broly would be on a rampage all over the tournament, attacking anyone that was in his line of sight. Since the Universe 7 fighters were expecting this to happen, they would maneuver around to avoid Broly, as Broly would end up getting into a fight with Jiren. However, when he began fighting Jiren, he would be getting beaten rather easily, as he would be countered at every attack he threw at Jiren. He would grow more frustrated, powering up further, but still wouldn't be enough to beat Jiren. However, it is enough to distract him. Bardock would see this as an opportunity to take Jiren down. Bardock, King Vegeta, Kami, and Raditz will all jump Jiren while he is distracted by Broly. Even with him distracted, the others were having trouble getting damage done to Jiren. Seeing how they still need help, Goku and Gohan powered up to their fullest to take out a weakened Toppo, with a father-son Kamehameha wave shooting him out of the arena and going in to help the others take out Jiren. Even with the combined forces of everyone, Jiren is still managing to hold out his own against Universe 7, so Kami would fall back and charge up a Spirit Bomb while the others hold on Jiren. Once he had the Spirit Bomb ready, he would throw it right at Jiren as he would try to hold it back, being able to. So the brothers, Bardock and King Vegeta, rushes right at Jiren, grabbing a hold of him to make him lose his balance from the Spirit Bomb as a huge explosion emerges, pushing everyone back and eliminating Broly. Still holding on to Jiren, the brothers aim to be knocked out of the arena. Jiren would try to knock them off of him, but with a final power-up, they managed to keep holding on to him, and all three of them would be eliminated from the tournament, having the remaining fighters in the tournament being Goku, Kami, and Gohan, as Universe 7 would win the Tournament of Power. And out of the three of them, I believe they would each want to make the wish to bring back all the universes that were erased. They would all return back to their universe and celebrate in their victory, and after would continue training for any threats that they may come across. So into the Moreau and Granola arc, a lot would be different. Moreau would still break out of the Galactic Prison, but the Z Fighters would know about it a lot earlier with the fact that the Saiyans do work with the Galactic Patrol. And once King Vegeta hears about this, he would head over to Earth to notify them. Originally, the Galactic Patrol wanted Majin Buu since he absorbed the Great Lord of Lords. However, the Saiyans did stop Buu from being freed, so he would be out of the picture. So King Vegeta wanted him and his brother to deal with the issue, as Bardock was ready to again leave the retirement of fighting to protect the universe, but that is when Goku, Raditz, and Vegeta would step up, asking if they could stop Moreau themselves instead of their fathers fighting once again. The brothers just smirked, allowing their sons to face the threat to see if they could save the universe without them. All five of them would go with the Galactic Patrol to go on the lookout for Moreau. Now with Moreau, since he doesn't have the help of a Frieza soldier since the Frieza army was completely destroyed by the Saiyans, he would be on his own, and wouldn't know about the Dragon Balls nor Namek. So he would just hop from planet to planet, absorbing its energy to try to regain his magical power and strength. By the time they did find Moreau, he already ate a few planets, but was nowhere near strong enough to fight back or had his magical powers back. He in fact still had his old looking body. Before confronting Moreau, the three Saiyans were told about Moreau's ability to absorb energy, and how it would give him more power. And here they would actually form a plan to stop Moreau instead of just jumping in, as Raditz had something in mind. They all land on the planet and instantly find Moreau. They all know currently Moreau is absorbing their energy by just being on the planet, but they decide to not power up, nor use any energy attacks as that would just feed him more. Both Goku and Vegeta would try to attack Moreau, trying to distract him, as we look over to Raditz as he prepares the evil containment wave. He heard about how future Bardock was able to defeat Zamasu and decided that it would be smart to learn how to perform that attack, so he went to Kami and learned the technique in case they ever faced a foe that they cannot beat the normal way. Moro wouldn't spot Raditz as he was too focused on holding Goku and Vegeta back, so once he was at a position where he wasn't moving, that is when Raditz would shoot the evil containment wave right at Moro, hitting him and sealing him away before he could cause any more harm in the universe. Bardock, King Vegeta, and Jaco were shocked to see how quickly and easily they took out Moro. Goku and Vegeta was bummed as they wanted to fight a strong opponent, but Raditz wasn't going to put the universe at stake for that. The Galactic Patrol would thank the Saiyans for the help as things would actually remain peaceful from here on out. The Granola arc could still happen since the fact that the Saiyan race is pretty out there in the universe. I believe that the Heaters or Granola would cross paths with them. It could be hard for the Heaters to go on with their original plan since the entirety of the Saiyan race is much stronger, and they lack the knowledge about the Dragon Balls. King Vegeta would hear about the Heaters, and I believe King Vegeta would know about them based on Bardock's past mission when he first met the Heaters and went to Planet Cereal. King Vegeta would notify Bardock, and most likely Bardock himself would want to face them since he already did before, but now he is much stronger than what he was in the past. Bardock would head over to Planet Cereal as they would meet with the Heaters and would honestly beat them rather easily with how strong he is. And for Gas, he would still have those fears of Bardock, so he would be taken down fast. Granola would still have his hatred for the Saiyans as he would want to try to fight Bardock, but without making that wish to be the strongest in the universe, he couldn't beat Bardock. However, Monaito would stop Granola to tell him the truth of what happened in the past, and how Bardock saved his mother and how the Heaters killed his mother. So with Bardock alive, the Granola arc would be finished quickly because of his past mission and past experience. With the superhero movie events, that would just not ever happen with the fact that the Red Ribbon Army was completely destroyed early on in this What If. So no one to break Dr. Heater out to have him create new androids, or even the ideas of androids would be a thought without Dr. Gero creating the first androids. So after all the events gone by, the Saiyans and the Z-Fighters remained peaceful as they would continue to train and grow stronger. And that's going to leave it up for this series. Tell me how y'all think about the finale and how it did with the ending of Super. What do y'all think about the entire story as a whole? I liked how the Sun family was together the entire time in this What If, and like seeing the family having nice bonding moments. Next What If would be what if Adele became a half Saiyan. If y'all are interested and enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be alerted whenever I post another part. Hope to see y'all there, and thank y'all so much for watching and all the support of this series. And I will see y'all in the next series. See ya.